Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. This video is from Houston. This is the Houston police officer involved shooting and line of duty death video. I posted the news release of this incident that was 45 minutes long. I did not do any commentary on that news release. The footage that they showed in that news release was on a screen projector, and it was projected on the wall, and that was how the recording was done. So the clarity of the footage was not the greatest. For whatever reason, Houston police has not posted the body cam footage itself to their social media page. I've actually had to find the body cam footage through police activity on YouTube. And this is where this footage is being copied from. It's being copied from the police activity YouTube page. If you have not already, I strongly recommend subscribing to police activity on YouTube. They have lots of great content on there. Lots of good educational videos, and honestly, oftentimes when I come across videos, I come across them first on police activity for the most part, and then I'll go to the originating source, usually some police agency somewhere, or sometimes it's the city government social media page where I'll find the original videos at. Sometimes, once in a wild blue moon, for whatever reason, the originating source doesn't even have it, and it's at police activity. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of connections these guys got, or if they just are really, really diligent with getting the footage. Going through the whole process of open records, etc. But big shout out to them for one, getting this footage and putting it out there. So I'm going to play the entirety of this video, then I'll go back and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Houston police, come to the door. Something just hit the door.
Yep.
Good morning. Hey, we have a warrant for Dion. Ma'am, where's Dion? Is he awake? Dion, step out here. Is he awake? Ma'am. Yeah, step out here.
Because I got kids.
Okay. Dion, step on out here. You got to take care of some warrants. No.
Where is he? Where is he?
No, I do not see him. Dion, you need to step out. It's Houston police. Is he behind the door there? Dion.
There's a door behind the door.
She looked back there towards the back. So, Dion, it's Houston police. You need to step out here. Dion, it's Houston police. Let's do this thing. Fuck. Bill. Call an ambulance.
Get ambulance.
Hey, get some cover. Get some cover. Get some cover.
Need to get Bill out. Need to get Bill out of there, right? Need to get Bill out.
He's down, but I can't see him.
Just go back here, ma'am.
Me?
I got you.
Ready, contact. Ready, contact.
Where is it?
You got eyes on him?
No, I do not see him.
Is Dion inside?
You need to step out of Houston,
Is
please.
Dion inside? Is he upstairs?
He's right here.
Right here? It's supposed to be right here.
Dion.
Are these your stairs right here? Is he up on
Dion.
stairs or?
It's Houston police. You need to step out here.
Let me just tell him.
Hold on.
Come on.
Are there guns in there? Hold on. Are there guns in there?
Let me just tell him. Come on.
Hold on.
Dion, it's Houston police. Let's do this.
Hold on. Give me cover. Give me cover.
Somebody get Bill.
Give me. Bill, can you come back?
3B51 days, be bumping. That's clear. Low again. I have a code 2. Need to show you around too. 5 clear. Let me get loaded and fuel. Okay, so my track vehicle needing to check my tracking a 2016 GMC, a brown color. At a convenience store, callers waiting in the red Jeep.
Hey, we need to get Bill out. We need to get Bill out.
All right, ready?
5 clear.
We need to get Bill out.
Bill! Come on, come on, come on! Come on! Sarge, you good? You good?
No, I'm hit. I'm hit.
Let's go get Bill! Somebody get Bill! Come back. Get an ambulance! Get an ambulance!
Hey, everyone.
Fuck! You good, Sarge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you at, Sarge? Where you at? Right? Where, Sarge? I don't know. Oh, shit. God damn. Hey, we need to get Bill out. We need to get Bill out of there. We need to get Bill out.
Dion, it's Houston Police. Let's do this thing. God! Oh, shit! Oh, fuck me. Good? No, I'm hit. Somebody get Bill! Somebody get Bill! Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Ah, fuck.
All right. So there is some missing footage from this. If you go to the news release video that I posted, there's actually footage from the officer who got shot that's included in that. And pretty much all you see from that camera angle that they released was you see the muzzle flash come from somewhere deep in the apartment. It's dark. You don't see the person. You just see the muzzle flash. And then, of course, you see the camera fall backwards and then hits the ground, and then it cuts off from there. And I want to say that maybe a few of these clips are just a little bit longer in the news release, but I can't say 100% sure which ones are a little bit longer. So they are going to serve a warrant on this Ledet guy. And this Ledet guy has a background as a criminal. He's been, I want to say, for several years now, he's had several arrests, serious crimes, serious violent offenses. Dude is just a complete oxygen thief. He has no place in society. In the news release video, the chief down there talked about unity and solidarity and how everyone needs to come together and be a team, and he's not going to finger point. Well, I'm a finger point. Judges and prosecutors and the corrections area, as far as probations and parole, they are without a doubt more fucked up than a football bat. When you have serious criminal offenders, violent criminal offenders, who are time after time released back in the public, they're given a slap on the wrist, they're told, oh, you're going to get an 8-year sentence, but boom, now you're getting out in 2. The criminals don't fully fear the criminal justice system. It seems like the police do a pretty decent job on catching the bad guys, but when it comes to holding them accountable and keeping them locked up, the courts and the corrections kind of drop the ball. So, within the courts, the prosecutors will cut a sweet little deal with them just to clear the docket. And I really think there's a lot of prosecutors out there who are more worried about their stats than actual justice. And that, in of itself, is a miscarriage of justice. When you have some prosecutor who only cares about, oh, well, I had X amount of convictions this month. Yeah. Who cares? Like, are these convictions, or what are they? Are they like going to trial convictions, or are they just plea deals? But the majority of them are going to be plea deals. And I don't think that's much to brag about. They make these sweet deals so that these people will just plead guilty and they don't have to prepare for a court case. They don't have to do any work, etc. And when a person is looking at something like, 10 years for something, they'll give some plea deal where they take a lot less years just so they plead guilty. And that's not fair. That's not fair at all for the public. The public expects criminals to serve a certain amount of time, especially when they are persistent felony offenders. They are repeat offenders. They are violent offenders. They are fucking clear and present danger to society type of offenders. We don't expect people like that to get out within a couple years when they should be in there for no less than 10. They drop the ball when they do that. When it comes to things like meeting probation and parole, the standards in place for that are very light. The prisons, they don't hire the greatest people. They hire people who just want to clock in, clock out, go home with no stress. They don't give a shit what goes on in the jail, in the prison, whatever. They just want to clock in, clock out, go home. They don't hold the inmates accountable. So when it comes to things like activity reports and stuff like that on these inmates, while they're inside, are doing whatever the hell they want. They're breaking all the rules, all these different types of infractions, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But because the people who work there don't give a shit and they don't write any reports, they don't do anything disciplinary-wise towards these inmates on record, because there's a lack of paperwork, it looks like these inmates are doing everything they're supposed to do. And when it comes time for, probation, parole, they look at that stuff and they think, oh, this guy's been a model prisoner. He's been really great. He hasn't caused any problems. When in reality, they've been a little shithead. But because the people who work in the prison or the jail aren't doing their damn job, because they don't really care about their job, they just want to clock in, clock out, go home, collect a check, this persistent felony offender is getting a free ride. And then the people who work within probation and parole, a lot of places, they're just a bunch of yahoos. They really are. They're a person who just wants a state government job Monday through Friday, clock in, clock out kind of type. They don't really truly give a shit. Not saying all are like that. Not saying everyone who works in a prison or jail is like that. But sadly, there are quite a few of people like that, more than what there should be. And so you got these probation and parole types who don't really take the initiative to go above and beyond. They do the very bare minimum. And then right now with the whole pandemic going on, old COVID-19, no one's making any home visits. Probation parole, I know here in Kentucky, is not going to someone's home and checking on them. All they're doing is talking to them on the phone. When it comes to adults, it's like that. When it comes to juveniles, it's like that. When it comes to the juveniles, unless it's the parent reporting to the probation officer that the juvenile is doing something wrong, the juvenile probation officer has no idea what's going on with that juvenile. And, of course, as you know, or may not know, lots of juvenile offenders, their parents are a part of the issue. Some of their parents are like friends for them, and their parents are enablers, and they just let them do whatever, and so they never would report to probation officer. Adults, same kind of thing, even though the parents aren't obligated to make any kind of reports in or anything like that. But you still have, those family members who enable them and cover for them and whatnot. Some of these offenders get, friends and coworkers to help cover for them, when they're supposed to be at work or something like that. They have friends that they work with who will cover for them. Be like, oh yeah, such and such is here, and they're doing dishes right now, or they're cooking right now, whatever. They'll feed a nice little report to the probation officer who calls a check-in, or that DOC person who calls a check-in on that person to see what they're doing. Or they may have a friend or a manager who works in a place who says that, this is their schedule, when really it's not their schedule. They're just given a bogus schedule for this person so that they can go in and go do other things when they're not really there. But no one knows this because no one does their due diligence in checking in on these people and making sure their stories are legit, doing these random site visits and whatnot, trying to fully verify that what they're alleging is actually true. So many of these workers do bare minimum stuff, and these criminals, they get away with so much. They never really learn a lesson. It's just a game for them. They get caught by the police, they get thrown into the court system, and it's a half-assed approach to things. And the criminals know all they got to do is jump through a couple hoops, and they're going to be scot-free. And all they got to do is keep their head low and try to avoid getting arrested the next time. So a lot of our problems come from the courts. And then you've got these liberal ass judges who they don't need to be practicing law at all. Some judges who make some wacky decisions. At this point in life, I'm not so much viewing the gangbangers as a clear and present danger to society. I'm starting to view some judges and prosecutors as the clear and present danger to society. And I never thought I'd ever say that, but that's the truth. That is where I'm at right now. There are people in the criminal justice system who do not need to be there. They need to go somewhere else because all they're doing is bringing our society down. When people like this are able to be walking around freely on the streets, and this is why some cities are basically letting the federal government take over on some things. You know, for example, Louisville, Kentucky, and other places where there's just a surge of just violent crime, just a surge of gang violence. They're starting to let the ATF take over. Why? Why isn't the Louisville Police Department taking the lead on some things? You know, why isn't the Chicago Police taking the lead on some things? Why is it that the ATF are starting to take the lead on things, or the FBI? Because federal court is a hell of a lot different than state court. You get a 20-year minimum sentence, guess what? You're doing 20 fucking years. You're not getting out in 5 because you had good behavior. You're doing that time. So with these places where these criminals are let out time after time after time, the locals are sick and tired of it. The local police are sick and tired of dealing with these judges, these state judges who just let them go. So they're starting to resort to letting the federal government take over local matters. And, you know, yes, there are some things the federal government, you know, needs to be doing, you know, and whatnot, but realistically, a lot of these things that they let the federal police start taking over on stuff, they shouldn't be doing that. This at the state level, the local level, it should be taken care of there. But because the courts are so screwed up, the local police can't rely on their local courts. They have to rely on the federal courts to actually put these people away and keep them out of the community. Before I get on any longer of a rant, let's go a little bit more into the video. So they go to this guy serving this warrant, and you know, they're working a special unit here. They go to this guy. They know this guy's been violent before. All they have is pistols out. He's got his pistol out. He's got it in a muzzle down position. I mean, I don't know if you call it the what is that? Saw, the sole position, and I forgot what it's called. But he's got the muzzle down. I think this officer here with the camera has got his gun out as well. Maybe one behind him does. I'm not sure. But none of them have rifles out. And I tend to think that's a problem. If you're going to serve warrants on someone, this person obviously knows they're wanted. It's not like a person just all of a suddenly gets warrants one day and they have no clue about it. They know they've got a warrant, right? Like there might be some random cases where a person actually has warrants on them and they don't really know about it. But for the most part, people involved in this system, if they're not for sure they got a warrant, then they're pretty confident that they got a warrant. They suspect pretty hard they probably got a warrant. So going and dealing with people who know that they're going to be taken away, they want to fight sometimes. And I think that when you're going to something like that, there is the potential for a gunfight because some people don't want to go to timeout and they want to fight it out. And rifles stop fights hella fast. Their rifles are more effective than pistols. So I associate, you know, going serving warrants is going to a gunfight. So if you know you're gonna go to a gunfight, bring a rifle. And I think these guys should have had some rifles out. This woman, whoever she is, I don't know what her relationship to this guy is.
No. You got to take care of some more.
I'd say that she probably knows or feels pretty strongly about the fact that this dude probably has warrants. And that's another thing where the criminal justice system fails, in my opinion. I don't think we fully prosecute these people who harbor criminals and aid and abet known fugitives. I think if they start getting the maximum sentence and getting maximum fines and stuff like that, I think we might find some people a little bit hard pressed to want to take in a person who has warrants and hide them from the police when they know that if they do so, they're probably going to be looking at some serious time themselves. She mentioned she has kids in there. Without a doubt, I firmly believe that whatever Texas version of child services is called, they should definitely be coming to pay a visit and remove those children from the home. If she's going to be aiding and abetting known felons like this and giving them sanctuary and allowing them to set up ambush on the police and kill the police, nah, she don't get to walk away from this without any freedom. She needs to suffer some consequences herself.
No.
Where is it?
So they're standing here at this door. So this door frames are known as fatal funnels. You don't want to stand in door frames for too long. This is where I think that
No,
perhaps
do not
some
see him.
rifles
Dion, you need.
would have been pretty good. Good rifle mounted lights. So he is kind of a little bit offset on this frame right here. He is kind of too, but with the depth of the room, and you can't see it very well from this angle, kind of see the depth of the room. They are silhouetted against the daylight. So if we could for a moment pretend that we were in this room's kind of dark. If you're looking out, there's a lot of light coming in, and a lot of this light coming in, you see two human-shaped silhouettes. So this is where some seriously bright flashlights need to come into play and flood the interior with lots of bright white light and create a bit of a photonic barrier for whoever's on the inside looking out. I would suspect that the bad guy inside could see the silhouette of this officer and put his sights on that silhouette and then fired. He might not have known exactly what he was firing at. As far as, exact placement of the body and everything, I'd say he probably aimed towards the torso area. He probably couldn't make out the officer's face with the sunlight behind him shining in through this open spot. Probably just a silhouette, but that silhouette was enough for him to line his sight up on and let one loose. So standing in this fatal funnel here is not the best option. They could have kept this door open as it was and get some standoff away from the door, shine some super bright white lights into that opening and maintain those white lights shining in there instead of moving them around like they were. And also, at that point, well, what do? You just keep standing there and wait for this person to come out, or do you make entry? So at some point, you're going to have to go in there. And, if this team is going to be specializing in doing warrants and stuff like that, I think that a canine would have been a good option to have here. That way, if it ended up leading into a little bit longer of a standoff with this door and this dude not coming out, they could have went ahead and released the canine into the building after him. Probably would have resulted in the canine being shot and killed without a doubt, but at least at that point, I think that they would have heard the gunfire, obviously, and then backed away from the house and not have been, this officer wouldn't have been subject to being shot and killed like he was. It would have been sort of an alarm, so to speak, for them to get further back. Shields are an option, so they could have also been here at the door with some shields holding them up. That probably would have made a difference. That shield would have caught the rounds, and then he would have been able to backpedal away and get away further from the door. But just standing in the doorway isn't always the greatest option, in my opinion, especially when it's daylight. The inside of the house is black and the outside is bright daylight. You are super silhouetted and you're an easy target. To somewhat counteract that, you need some super bright white lights shining into there. That way anyone looking towards that door is going to be blinded by those super white lights and not be able to get a decent aim on a silhouette of a target. And then, of course, there's also flooding the house. If they were to make entry and start moving in, no doubt the gunfight would have occurred inside the house. I think that no matter the outcome, this was going to end up, this was going to end up in a gunfight. Could things have been a little bit different if they had started to flood in and start moving around inside? Possibly. I think one of them still probably would have been shot. But I think it would have changed the dynamics of things. To what extent, I don't know, but it would have changed things, obviously. I think if they had pushed into the house, I think there probably would have been a higher chance of them ending this fight a lot sooner, and maybe having a little bit more of an advantage and more of a better outcome. Still would have ended in a gunfight, but I think maybe things could have been a little bit different.
Dion.
There's a door behind the door.
She looked back there towards the back. So Dion, Houston police, you need to step out here.
So I talk about the bright white light. So we see the beam of this light shining on the wall. I'm sure with this right here, he's trying to shine into this room or whatever, but a lot of this white light is hitting this wall right here. It looks like he's the only one shining light. I don't think this guy has a light shining out. So all we got is one small handheld light. I think that if we had a couple rifles up here and they were pouring lots of bright white light in there, weapon lights with like mod lights or something like that, super, super bright, that would have made a difference, in my opinion.
Police, you need to step out here. Dion, it's Houston police. Let's do this thing.
So this first officer, he takes fire. His partner takes fire.
Dion, it's Houston police. Let's do this thing.
He reaches his gun in there and he fires. There are children in the house. I don't think that was the greatest option to just stick the gun in there and blindly fire. He doesn't know what his gun is pointed at when he's doing it like that. Those rounds being sent out are unaccounted for. You can hear the smoke detector in the background going off.
Bill.
This radio, and you see another one has the same setup. They don't have any lapel mics on there. This is where I firmly believe lapel mics are life safety equipment. Working in this profession, I don't know why anyone would want to have a two-way radio without a lapel mic. I don't get that. He's having to reach down to his belt, take this radio out of its holder, bring it up, talk into it, reach back down, using fine motor skill, put it back in its holder, and then bring his hand back up to the gun. That's a lot of unnecessary movements, in my opinion. If this dude popped out this door right away and started shooting, what's his options? Well, he could try to fire one-handed while putting his radio away, or he could drop the radio and go to a two-handed grip and start shooting. What if he has to move? Does he take the time to bend down and grab that radio, or does he move away from that location and leave that radio where it's at? That's why I think lapel mics are a necessary piece of equipment for a two-way radio. It makes more sense. It's more efficient to have a lapel mic. Then all you have to do is take one hand, reach up, press a button, let go, and then put that hand back on task. It stays on you. You don't have to take anything out of a pouch or anything like that and worry about putting it back in there. Some people don't like using lapel mics because they come off easily, and yes, they can come off easily. However, there are products out there, and there are do-it-yourself hacks that you can do to make sure that lapel mic stays on. There's a company called Mic Loop. They have a couple different products that allow your microphone to basically be tethered to you so that you won't lose it. So you can buy a product like that, or because it's a pretty simple design, basically it's pretty much like paracord, you can even kind of do your own kind of thing and make your own mic loop and save some money. So there's really no reason why anyone should be using an excuse of, oh, it don't stay on very well, when you can do those. Also, if you have an outer vest and it has the molly webbing across the front, that little clip on the lapel mic, you can stick it down into one of those webbing pieces and get it to click in past some of that webbing, and it will stay on there rock solid. Some agencies don't provide lapel mics, and I get that. You know, the lapel mics, they're not cheap. They can be over, around or over $50 a lapel mic, something like that, depending on the newness of the radio and whatnot. For individual people, I understand that's a decent amount of cash coming out of your pocket if you have to buy one yourself. But as I said, it is a piece of life safety equipment, and I think it would be some money well spent. You can write it off on your taxes. If you really wanted to, you could, and you didn't have the money to do it, you just had time, you can even probably, I don't want to say fight your agency, but you could really probably force your agency into providing one to you for ADA compliance. You could cite that you have some hearing issues and that the radio mounted to your belt, you can't hear it very well, so you need a remote microphone on your shoulder so you can hear the radio better. You would need to provide some type of documentation from a doctor, but I think that would be a reasonable route, and all you got to do is provide that documentation and ask your employer to provide you a reasonable accommodation per American Disabilities Act. And if they don't, well, you might be able to make some extra money. But lapel mics, I think, are an important piece of equipment to have. But unfortunately, I see so many videos where no one uses the damn things. So he's fired some rounds. He's fired a couple more. Here in a second, we're going to see him do a magazine change.
Hey, get some cover.
All right. So he does a tactical reload when there's a lull in the fight. That's good. Anytime you've expended some rounds and you have time to do a magazine change, you're behind cover, it's safe to do so. You need to go ahead and do a magazine change. That way, as the fight continues and you need to fight some more, you have a full magazine to fight from versus a half depleted magazine or a nearly depleted magazine where you only got like 2 or 3 rounds left. It's a whole lot better to start that second fight with a full magazine versus starting it with only maybe 2 or 3 rounds left in the gun, and then you're going to have to do an emergency reload on a slide lock. So he goes ahead and performs a reload. puts the magazine in there, and he racks that slide. Now, some people may say something negative about that. I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. He is ensuring that his weapon is fully charged. This is how I was originally trained, and this is what I continue to do today. Anytime I go to insert that new magazine in there, I firmly seat it, and I just go ahead and rack that slide. It's basically become to me muscle memory at this point in my life. I don't even think about doing it. I just kind of do it. So I have no issues with him racking that slide like that and losing one round. I don't think that one round is going to be, the end-all, be-all thing for this gunfight. He decides that he needs to move a little bit further back. Perhaps maybe one thing he could have done was recover that magazine, because it does have maybe 1 or 2 rounds left in it, maybe even more. I don't know. But he could have recovered that magazine and put it in a pocket. That way, if this gunfight is prolonged and he gets down to no more magazines on his belt, maybe that one in his pocket that has 2 or 3 rounds left in it, maybe that could make a difference later on in this fight. So he could have recovered that magazine. It may not have been safe for him to do so at that point. So I don't see anything majorly wrong with him not recovering it. But I'm just saying he could have recovered it. So you kind of see, if you watch under his arm and you look towards that other pillar, you'll see the bad guy come out. The bad guy's wearing a white shirt. So he comes out, he goes over the downed officer, and in between the wall and that pillar, he ends up on the other side. You lose visual of him from here.
He's down, but I can't see him.
Back this up some. All right, this is a rifle right here. So what the bad guy fired with in the beginning was a Glock pistol that had a full auto attachment on the back. So this officer right here, he has a Glock pistol. So this slide plate right here, basically what they're doing is they're buying these little attachments, and they'll take this piece, they'll disassemble the gun, have just the slide, and they'll take this piece right here off and replace it with a new piece that has a little toggle switch on there, and it will you flip the switch to one side, the gun will fire semi-automatic just as normal. You flip that switch to the other side, and it will go full auto, just like a Glock 18 will. That's what he first opened up with, was that fully automatic pistol. And he came back out, or not came back out, but he came out after that, and he had this rifle. And it's hard to tell from the other camera footage, but I'm assuming that he fired at officers with this rifle. I think he fired at this guy who was in behind the vehicles over here. I would say that he probably got hit or lost some footing and went in over in this area. Dropped his rifle, fell in over here, and landed up on the other side of this pillar, and that's where the officer who was over here was able to gain visual on him and shoot him. But this guy came out with a rifle. So at the very beginning of this gunfight, this guy had these officers at a bit of a disadvantage with a fully automatic pistol. He was able to fire a very fast burst. That initial volley, I don't know exactly where he hit this officer at. This officer is wearing a ballistic vest. That vest obviously should have stopped the pistol caliber ammunition. And when he first goes down, and we'll see it some in the second footage, you can see him, he rolls over some, and he is moving, and it looks like he's got his weapon-mounted light on his gun turned on. You can see the light moving around, but because of him being behind the vehicle and moving a lot, we don't get to see a whole lot of movement out of him. He does, like I said, when he first goes down, this arm goes up. He does kind of roll towards this way, and then it does look like the weapon-mounted light is moving around some, but then eventually he stops moving. So I don't know if he got hit during the first volley and one of the bullets hit somewhere that the vest doesn't cover on him, and he laid there and bled to death, or if this guy came out with a rifle and popped him with a rifle, and the rifle went through the soft armor super easily. I don't know which one of those occurred. No information, to my knowledge, has been released yet about autopsy or anything like that. So I can't say with any certainty what kind of injuries he suffered.
You got eyes on him?
No, I do not.
Is D on the side?
Can you step out? Dion.
Are these your stairs right here? Is he up on
Dion.
stairs?
Houston police, you need to step out here.
Hold on.
Come on.
Are there guns in there? Hold on. Are there guns in there?
Let me just tell him, come on.
Dion, it's Houston police. Let's do this. Dion, it's Houston police. Let's do this. Houston police. Let's do this. Let's do this.
So you can see what I mean by he is still moving under his own power. And I don't know what's up with the guy's camera. There's something over his lens. It's very blurry. This is not some editing that the agency has done. It's just blurry. Look over here. You can see he's moving. So you see his weapon-mounted light is activated. He's moving around. He's still alive. But we just can't, because of the camera footage from here, he's taking cover, he's moving around. We just don't get to see a whole lot of what's going on down there.
I have a code 2. Make sure you're around 2.
He does a magazine change in the middle of the fight.
Okay, so my track vehicle needed to check my tracking a 2016 GMC, brown color. At a convenience store, callers waiting in a red Jeep.
All right, ready?
That's good.
Bill! Get back!
Just from the back. And boom, we see his head pop out. So this guy has a weapon-mounted light and a flashlight in his hand. At this point, I think that flashlight in his hand should have been put away, and he should be able to maintain a two-handed grip on this pistol. I'm not sure if the officer fires. I think he does. I'm not really sure. Or it could be the bad guy shoots. I mean, it's hard to say. I think the officer shoots, but I'm not 100% sure. If he does, then I think he missed because he didn't have a very good two-handed grip on that gun. And he didn't have a good two-handed grip because he got a flashlight in his hand. He's trying to put both hands together with that flashlight in the middle. if he did fire and he took that flashlight out of the equation, could he have made a hit? Possibly, yeah. This also would have been good if this guy in the back had a shotgun, and if he did let one off on the shotgun, I think this gunfight would have ended a lot sooner, and they could have got to Bill a lot sooner. This officer's in his car. Gunfire happens. He decides to put the car in drive, pull it forward, transition gun into one hand, park, dismount. He's got a cell phone.
Let's go there, Bill.
Presumably, with this cell phone in this hand, I don't know for sure. He picks it up out of his waist, and he's either put in his pocket or he drops it. I don't know which. But personally, he's starting off. He's in the vehicle. Car door's open. It's parked. Vehicles are bullet magnets that you don't want to be in a car when the gunfight starts. So what I would have liked to have seen is he just immediately dismount his vehicle and get the hell out of it.
Sarge, you good? You good?
No, I'm hit. I'm hit.
Let's go there, Bill. Somebody get Bill.
So at this angle right here, this is where ambidextrous shooting can come into play. So if he could have, so he's right-handed, he's having to push some of his body more further out to the right to aim around this corner. If he could transition into his left hand and back off from that cover a little bit, I think he would have had better results on that. Same with rifle. So if he was able to get a rifle out, he could have come up to this corner, shoulder that rifle to the left shoulder, and stand off from cover. And I think he would have been able to dominate this space pretty well. It's harder to maintain good cover when you're looking at a left-hand corner and you're a right-handed person. So much more of your body has to stick out for you to clear that to get a good line of fire.
Fuck! You good, Sarge?
I'm hit.
Yeah. Where you at, Sarge? Where you at? Right? Where, Sarge?
I don't know.
Oh, shit. God damn.
And again, same issue with this radio, no lapel mic.
Hey, we need to get Bill out. We need to get Bill out of there. We need to get Bill out.
It was this point when I first watched this video, this really got me. There's a gunfight going on, and he is over here. And I remember yelling at the computer. I remember yelling, "Get in the fight!" And I just remember feeling just like pissed off. But this dude, he pulls through. He comes in and gets a bead on this guy. Bad guy's right there, and he fucking lets him have it.
Dion, it's Houston Police. Let's do this thing. God!
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck me. Good? No, I'm hit. I'm hit.
Go there, Bill. Somebody get Bill.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Ah, fuck.
All right, so we see from his footage where he went down and it cuts out pretty early. But from this guy's camera footage,
Well, yeah, Sarge.
we see him on the ground. This is where a talk about medical gear can come into play. So everyone should be carrying first line medical gear on them, stuff to be able to treat extreme hemorrhaging of extremities. So at the very least, the most basic thing that you should be carrying on you is a tourniquet. I don't see any indicators here that would strongly suggest the use of a tourniquet. Yes, he's bleeding. I don't see any arterial bleeding. I don't think he's bleeding very profusely to require a tourniquet. I don't know even for sure if he's shot in the leg. I think he is. That's where you see some of the blood.
You good,
And of
Sarge?
course, he's not able to walk.
Well, yeah, Sarge. Well, yeah, right. Wait.
So you see some blood there. So I'm just assuming he's been hit in the leg. He could have been hit in the stomach for all I know. But he did crawl. So aside from, something like as minimum as a tourniquet carrying on you, you could also have some compressed gauze. That way, an H&H package of compressed gauze, you rip it open, you got a lot of gauze there. You can kind of pack a wound with it, cover a wound with it. Some duct tape. I think duct tape's better than medical tape. You can even have a pressure bandage. So if you're going to be carrying an outer vest like this that has the real estate to be able to carry stuff, there's really no reason why you shouldn't have something like an IFAC on you, like an improved first aid kit or individual first aid kit, whatever terminology and moniker you want to use for it. But at minimum, you should be carrying some kind of gear on you to treat gunshot wounds and stop severe bleeding, because it can take a while for the ambulance to get to you. First line medical gear is super important. You need to carry it. Even if you don't know how to use some of the stuff, you should still carry it, because someone else might know how to use it. They might know what to do with it. A tourniquet. You might not know how to use a tourniquet, but you should carry one on you. Why? Someone might know how to use that. That's kind of an extreme. I think most people should probably understand the general concept of how a tourniquet works. I think they could kind of figure it out. But another example, and this is one that you hear people harp on a whole lot when people get their individual trauma kits and it has something like a decompression needle in there, people will lose their freaking minds over that. They're like, what? Are you a paramedic? No. Then why are you carrying a decompression needle? You don't need a decompression needle. You don't know how to use that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Maybe not. Does it mean that there wouldn't be someone who could be there who doesn't know how to use it? So who cares? Carry that medical gear on you. That way, when it's needed, it can be used right then and there. If you don't, then you're going to have to wait on someone to get there to use medical gear on you. And the longer you wait, the more you're bleeding, the faster you're bleeding, the more likely you're going to die before anyone can do anything for you. As far as medical training go, most security companies and police agencies at a bare minimum will provide CPR first aid training. That is a decent foundation of knowledge. It is not sufficient, I believe, to deal with traumatic injuries like gunshot wounds. You kind of need some more specialized, focused training on that. You can check the schedule for like volunteer fire departments in your area, see when they're doing training, check with those people. They might know when some EMT classes are coming up and when there might be some specific blocks of instruction for those EMT classes dealing with traumatic injuries. Or it could be an EMR class, emergency medical responder class, where they're focusing on trauma. There could be an air ambulance provider in your area that does pre-hospital trauma life support type of classes where they focus more on trauma stuff that you can go and get some good nuggets of information. Even your ambulance provider or your fire department in your local area, they might be able to put on a specialized class just for your folks. And you might not get any continuing education hours out of it. It might not be a law enforcement sanctioned training class that you get hours on or anything like that, but at least it's some good knowledge to get a hold of and be able to carry with you. I personally believe that as a prerequisite for graduating high school, you should be trained in CPR first aid. I think everyone should have that basic knowledge on how to save another person's life. And if you're working in the industry where you got to carry a gun for a daily basis, you know shit for sure need to know some medical stuff, because if you carry a gun on a daily basis for a living, then there's obviously the chance for you to be involved in a gunfight. And bullets go both ways in a gunfight. It means you have a pretty good chance of being shot, or your teammates have a good chance of being shot, and you need to know how to deal with that and save their life. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know what kind of injuries Bill took. I don't know if the first volley of gunfire he took around to where the vest doesn't cover and he just bled out. I don't know if, the kind of injury that he received right then and there, if he would have received it right in the middle of a level 5 trauma center, if he still would have been able to survive it. I don't know. None of that information is available. And it's very possible that if he had received the same injury in the middle of a level 5 trauma hospital with the best doctors in the world, there's probably still a good chance he might not have made it. But I don't know. This is a pretty hard video to watch. I do want to commend the Houston Police Department for releasing it, because a lot of times agencies, they hide stuff like this. They think that they're doing a teammate solid, or doing the family of their teammate solid, by not showing stuff like this. And I can see the arguments both ways, but this is educational. Does it need to be completely out in the wide open for everyone to see? That's a good debate. That's a good argument. This is educational. People can learn from this, and they need to see this, not just from the mindset, tactics, skills, and equipment standpoint for learning, but also what are we doing in society. What I talked about earlier with judges and prosecutors and stuff like that. People need to see this and then start thinking about the people that they vote for. Who are you voting for? Are the people you voting for enabling criminals to do shit like this? Are the people you voting for getting in office and letting these criminals out on a more frequent basis? Are they basically hugging a felon? That is one of the biggest reasons why I want this video out there, because I want you to start thinking about who the hell you vote for. It's time to get rid of these soft ass politicians and these soft ass judges in criminal justice. I don't want to say professionals, because they're not professional at all. They're a fucking joke. It's time to get rid of those soft asses and put some people in place to make criminals fear the criminal justice system again. It's time to put serious repeat offenders away. It's time to put them away, lock them away, throw away the key. And if it comes down to we need to start executing criminals, then you know what? We need to take a cue from Texas and how they operate their capital punishment system and put in an express lane. It is time to start executing murderers. It's time to start getting rid of these violent offenders. We've got to do something, or else we're going to lose a grip on society, and things are going to go down south real quick. Things have already gone down south real quick in this country, and this is a clear-cut example of that. So the lessons that we learn are written on the tombstones of others. Watch this, learn from it, and become harder to kill. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.